move on now to the headlines. What the papers are saying this morning is really interesting, from one end to the other end and all of that. And I have with me in the studio to do justice to understanding some of these. A journalist, Ontegbule, is here, and social commentator Olakanmi, Amoo-Onidundun. It's good to have you, gentlemen of the press.
You keep saying that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for
having
us.
You know, there's no ladies in the press. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper is where we start from this morning. Buhari to announce cabinet in July, says the SGF, that's the secretary to the government of the Federation. And insists list already with Senate Majority Leader. The National Assembly snag may push appointments to October. Governance slows in states over absence of ESCOs. Find all that on the front page of The Guardian. Let's move now to Daily Trust. Daily Trust is our next point of call now. Panel recommends signing of African Free Trade Pact. We can't afford to rush. Buhari is saying that. That's the president. And MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and African Development Bank, speak on this issue. Okay, still ongoing. I think Nigeria, Benin Republic, and Eritrea are the only African countries that haven't signed that pact yet. All the other African countries have signed the pact, waiting for Nigeria to make the great impact. Let's move on now to the Vanguard newspaper. A driver passengers kidnapped in Ondo. Police meet with Miyetti Allah leaders. And abductors demand 5 million naira ransom for free driver as Alafin Are Adams fault security summit. Okay. You'll find all that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's move now to Daily Sun. Daily Sun, and see how bright the sun is shining. As Buhari promises payment of new wage soon, workers blow hot over 30,000 naira salary. Will fight governors dodging new minimum wage, vows Labour. I think we'll talk about this shortly on the analysis point. Okay, that's the Daily Sun talking about the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Really much of interest to workers right now. Okay, let's move now to News Direct. Nigeria News Direct is our next point of call now. The Federal Account Allocation Committee, federal government gets 268.23 billion naira. States, local governments share 240.94 billion naira. You find that on the front page of the the News Direct. Okay, The Nation is the next place we'll go now. NLC to governors. Get set for minimum wage fight. Get set for minimum wage fight. Buhari urges states and firms to pay. Falana seeks enforcement of laws. Okay, we're still waiting for how this is going to pan out. But that's the story on the front page of The Nation. Blueprint is going to be our next destination. Armories in government houses. Carry your cross, governors tell Amosun. That's the former governor of Ogun State. All right, armories in government houses. Carry your cross, governors tell Amosun. You read to get to know the details of that story. Moving on now to Nigerian Tribune. Tribune will be the last destination this morning. Restructuring, antidote to secession. Alafin is saying this. I can roll out 1 million combatants in 3 days. Gani Adams, on a Kakanfo of Yoruba land, is saying that. Southwest APC governors paying lip service to security. Adebajo is saying that. And their absence at Awo's event, sad. Awolowo Dosumu. Only unity among Yoruba will ensure development. Makinde is saying that. And Nigerian youths must sustain, relive Awo's ideals. Akintoye saying that. And present security challenges not insurmountable. Buhari, that's President Buhari, is saying that. Okay, you find all that on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, gentlemen, let's talk about this minimum wage issue. Since April, the president has signed the Minimum Wage Act into law. But up until now, we haven't seen the implementation yet, even though there's a committee to try to reconcile the differential between those coming on board the 30,000 naira benchmark and those who were hovering around 30,000 and above. What will be the differential now and all of that? That's where we are. The committee is still working. But it is ongoing and workers can't wait anymore. Olakanmi, let me start with you on this. Okay. I wonder, NLC is already sending out warnings.
Well, it's a discussion that has gone too far and too long.
Okay.
You know, this should have been settled with and all that. Riding on the fact that the president had signed that sometimes ago, I think...
Since April?
Since April. That might even have influenced even bulk of the workers, even saying that let's give him a second chance and all that. It might also look as, you know, breaking truce, you know, if, you know, we are going back still on the drawing board to say, look, we can't deliver on what we promised and all that. Things should have been settled now. We don't want, you know, a state in which the economy will be, you know, in comatose again, you know, because there's a strike. You know, we have enough problems to saddle with. Insecurity is there, you know, people, you know, clamoring for, you know, one thing or the other, you know, they're all there. Naira is melting, all kinds of things.
So we can't afford another
we
strike.
We can't.
I wonder what you make of this. The point there is, the former Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, has said, well, governments or governors and government have no reason not to pay the salary because it is a law already. Yes. So the more we go in deep into the year without paying, the more arrears that will be accumulated.
Yes, it will be accumulated. And you begin to wonder when you had people come out, governors come out at that time when the president first talked about it and actually signed it and made it a law. Oh, I'm going to pay this. Some even went as far as saying I can pay 100,000. What were they saying that for? They were probably using it to sway the minds of the people so that they would vote, you know, they would be happy for bringing in the government.
Well, some states have actually said, whatever is agreed, we're ready to pay.
So what's holding them back? That's the point. And as you've said, if you don't pay it as it is now, once it gets into maybe December next year, you can imagine the arrears. Before you know it, we're talking about 10 months, 12 months and all of that. I just wonder why everything moves at snail speed in Nigeria. We truly need to wake up. Every worker deserves his wages. That's the truth. But if you look at it, Mike, how much is 30,000? That's what some people used to recharge their phones in a month or even 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Some people use more than that for recharge cards. And you say this is minimum wage.
People who go to clubs and...
Are you telling me?
You know,
that's the boys around.
This money can't even take you to the bus stop. And you work for how many days? And someone says, look, some are even saying we can't pay. Now, those who were not able to pay 18,000 naira minimum wage, are those the people that are they going to pay 30,000 naira?
Okay, let's look at it more practically. Olakanmi, the point there is, when it comes to IGR for states, we know where the stand is right now, where, you know, stakeholders have complained that either governors are not as creative but the IGRs are not there. The only few states that can beat their chest is like Lagos State and maybe Rivers State.
But Mike, why is the IGR not there?
No, the point there is, the reason why they're not there is different. We're talking from the standpoint of where we are right now. You understand? So the point there is, how challenging is it going to be for states going forward, especially when it comes to the capacity and the ability to pay? Because if they have to generate IGR, it's going to take some time for those IGRs to come in, apart from states that already have more than enough. If there's anything like
Mike, thank you. This is where I would also challenge the NLC to begin to look at sustainable things, you know, rather than, you know, things that will not be able to sustain on long term, you know. And also, in terms of being a strong pressure group, what they should be demanding. Okay, you know, demanding, you know, for, you know, increase that will never stop. You know, it's not where we should be looking at. Okay, but rather, even the economy should be such that, look, the little they earn can really take them home. 30,000 naira a day, 1,000 a day, so to say.
Exactly. If you do the calculation, that's what it
to feed a family, minimum.
You're going to pay rent, you pay school fees,
bills,
and all of that. Let me even go back to this issue of IGR. What are you doing? Why can't you look inwards? Now you're talking about the IGR, you're not able to raise money. Well, you go cap in hand to the president, to the federal government. You want to draw something from there. Now,
bailouts.
That's it.
Bailout funds.
They give you bailouts.
Paris refund.
And you're not able to pay. I think it's about not being sincere. These are the kind of persons, or these governors, some of them are the ones that pull the government down.
And
you agree that you're going to pay.
That's why I emphasize the fact that, look, NLC should be demanding some other things.
And on the other hand, if we even have to beam the searchlight on NLC, on what they are doing and all of that, like you were talking about what are the issues they are agitating for? Sometimes it's just salaries. Okay, we pay these salaries now, considering the inflation rate and all of that. In the next 1 year,
It makes a nonsense.
it doesn't mean anything.
So
and they will be
it's not
talking
sustainable.
about, increasing. But what should the focus of NLC be in holding governments at all levels accountable? Olakanmi, let me.
The first thing they should hold them accountable to is good governance. All right? Where there is good governance, where the government itself is accountable, even for what even they are receiving. All right? I think we will not be going this way, every time. Good governance, one. The second thing they should hold them accountable, for is also how they manage even our resources, internally. That's where the IGR comes in and all that. And if there is strong pressure group as they are,
yes.
They should be able to also. You can impeach a government. Please,
well, Mike,
wow.
I need to chip this in.
Yes.
Recently, it's been in the news about a governor who spent a whopping sum for burials.
Yes.
What in the world is that?
Over
Who
billions.
does that?
Yeah.
In any country.
But there are
for
still
crying out
allegations
loud.
anyway.
Yeah, allegations.
Yeah.
But remember, sometimes there's no smoke without fire. Remember governors also who spend so much for mass weddings. What are we talking about? How much is 30,000 naira? How much is a bag of rice? A 5-liter, bottle of vegetable oil, it's about 4,000 naira. You buy a bag of rice, 22,000 naira. What are we talking about? This is you find out there are family of 6. You pay school fees, you're going to pay house rent, you
No
feed
more
your
free
children.
education, no
What
more,
are we talking about? In fact, the minimum wage should be 100,000. And I don't think there's any governor who would say, I am not able to pay. You guys receive your own salaries. How do you go to sleep when people work and they don't get paid? I think it's such a
It was a
joke.
big question the president asked sometimes
Yes.
to governors and say, I wonder how you go to sleep.
How do you sleep?
Knowing that there are people out there who don't have. But on the other hand, other people were asking the questions. If the state governments are not, are going to sleep and are not, how much more is the federal government doing? As in, how exemplary
And that's why I
is the
said,
federal
there
government
are
when it
more
comes to that?
sustainable things. Okay, this issue for
Like,
restructuring.
more sustainable things
Yeah,
like.
look, this issue of restructuring, okay? Look at about 280, to about 250, that's the ratio in terms of what goes to, the federal and what goes to local government and state. That is skewed. All right? Restructure, so that look, in a true federal system where the states and the local government really be accountable.
But the true federal system it remains an ideal. As far as the stand where
let
we
us-
are
let
right
us
now
move
is
closer
concerned.
there.
But who is afraid of that?
Oh, okay.
Who is
Let's move
afraid
closer
of
to that.
It's a big
federalism?
question.
Let's move closer to that. Likewise, we have state house of assemblies, isn't it? It seems, what are they doing? What is NLC demanding of them to do vis-a-vis good governance for their
the
people?
buck comes back to NLC
Yes.
for them to strike the
Yeah.
right chord.
Look, if you
hold
must
the
have
government
good
accountable
government,
where they can.
If you must have good government, you must have also good followers who will
Okay.
demand.
All right. We wait to see how these things is going to, because NLC is coming out now. When they start throwing some of these questions, we know what the direction of things.
But for me,
it
Mike, NLC has lost its bite.
You think
Remember
so?
the days when NLC was NLC.
Okay.
When NLC steps down, puts his foot down, everyone is shaking.
All
But
right.
today, you find out that they go back behind the table, they talk something else, they come out and tell the people something else, and we're back to square one. But
All
I
right.
think they
we
should do the right
we wait to see how things will pan out in the coming days.
Buhari to announce cabinet in July, says SGF. Insists list already with Senate Majority Leader. National Assembly snag may push appointments to October. Governance slows in states over absence of excos. And on the front page of the Daily Trust, panel recommends signing of African Free Trade Pact. We can't afford to rush. President Buhari responding there. MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, AFDB, speak on that issue as well. To the front page of the Vanguard, driver passengers kidnapped in Ondo. Police meet with Miyetti Allah leaders. Abductors demand 5 million naira ransom to free driver as Alafin Are Adams fought security summit. To the front page of the Daily Sun now, as Buhari promises payment of new wage soon, workers blow hot over 30,000 naira salary. Will fight governors dodging new minimum wage, vows Labour. To the Nigerian News Director, FAAC, federal government gets 268.23 billion naira. States, local governments get 240.94 billion naira. And on the front page of the Nation newspaper, NLC to governors get set for minimum wage fight. Buhari urges states, firms to pay. Falana seeks enforcement of laws. And on the front page of the blueprint, armories in government houses carry your cross, governors tell Amosun. And finally, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, restructuring antidote to cessation are laughing. I can roll out to 1 million combatants in 3 days, Gani Adams. Southwest APC governors paying lip service to security, Adebanjo. Their absence at Awo's event, SAD, Awolowo Dosumu. Only unity among Yoruba will ensure development. Makinde, Nigerian youth must sustain, relieve Awo's ideals. Akintoye, present security challenges not insurmountable. Buhari. All right, I'd like for us to look at the story on the front page of The Guardian. Buhari to announce cabinet in July, says SGF. Now, remember that in one of the interviews before his inauguration, the president talked about him going to shock a lot of persons, where a lot of people that see him as Baba go slow will see that he's going to move really quickly. And now, unlike in 2015, where it took about 6 months, before he naming his cabinet, now we're seeing that in July, the list will be ready.
Yes, even if it should have come early, you know.
Should have come earlier.
Yes, earlier than July. But let's say this is good. And maybe it's about the president living up to the expectations of what he's told people. He says, look, this second term is going to be a departure from what it was the very first term. But like, I'm sure you understand that everyone is waiting. I'm waiting to see what that cabinet is going to be like.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, who and who. Before we came on, we're talking about, I said to you, there are some lists that I've seen flying all over the place.
But then that happened also in 2015.
But remember, even the list that was flying about then in 2015, some of those names that we had all over the place were also, you know, part of the persons you had in the cabinet when the president finally named his cabinet. But I'm waiting to see. I'm just hoping that that list that we've seen all over the place, sticking out is the name of Lagos former governor Akinwumi Ambode was there. But it's still speculations as it is.
Still speculation, yes, as it is. But let's get to your point of view on this matter now.
My point of view is that, look, this is even becoming very late. July, for me, doesn't resonate with Baba's, you know, avouched repentance not to be go slow anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
In comparison to 6 months?
Well, I will say that, look, it was clear by May that, look, he was coming in. Okay, you know.
He was returning.
He was returning, okay? You know, so I think that, you know, if he takes the issue, you know, of maybe the economy, you know, and all that we are facing, you know, as very urgent and important, he should have even been compiling these things together and all that, discussing it at the party and all that.
Your list should have been ready.
By this time, they should have hit the ground running. Because the matters on hand, you know, in Nigeria is very urgent. Security, you know, the issue of infrastructures that are in comatose, you know, the issue of education, you know, all these issues, finance.
But then again, some would say that perhaps he needs to take his time to look inwards to understand those who can handle certain portfolios properly.
Because those ones just coming in.
What do you need to check?
I haven't seen the list, so I can't really say. Because in 2015, several complaints about some persons should have been asked to resign.
But Veronica, you understand very well that it's not the president that should sit down and point out who and who. Yes, you could say these are persons that I might like to work with, but I think there should be a competent committee. If you're going to contract it out to organizations that are able to look at these people, check them out, verify what it is that they've done and what they are able to do, then I'm not sure we're going to be sitting down here and talking about it. But when you find out that some of these positions are giving out to people just to say thank you for the job that you
Now,
did during the
patronage
election,
and all that.
then that's when we're going to have problems.
Now, these are also issues because in terms of lobbying, there's been talks about intense lobbying over those that would be appointed. Parties have met. You just mentioned the issue of compensation and all of that. Others, perhaps, these are the issues that are causing the delay.
These issues
You're
can
not-
drag into
that's
a
it.
year.
That's it.
If we are saying that they are the issues that are causing the delay, they can drag into a year. Even the,
But in an ideal democracy, is that what we should have?
no, in an ideal democracy, even look, Trump will not wait two months, 3 months.
go too
Look,
far.
look, it won't happen in saner economies and political systems. What we are saying here is, immediately after the elections, there was still about, a few weeks and all that. And so you knew that I will be sworn in. During those period of maybe interregnum, you're waiting to be sworn in, to be returned and all that. All this horse trading should have been done. Okay, and if he recommended also even farming it out to private people who will have done the due diligence,
Who
the
do the-
background check and
who
all
do
that. And we
it for
don't have
you?
the repeat of, you remember our erstwhile Minister of Finance.
Well,
you know,
the security screening has been done, but despite all of that, it's a process. It's part of the process.
Who is screening who?
Well, the security
thing should have been
screening has
Did
been
they not
done.
loaded,
screen the
proactive.
former people that we had?
Same
Did they
discussion
screen?
or talks. These are the issues that were said. Those people were screened. Yes, we still had issues, being raised over time. But then again,
So it calls to question the competence.
process.
Exactly.
and the
that-
competence of those carrying out the screening process.
Simple. That's just it.
But then again, let's look at the aspect of the president. It is said that the people you have is a reflection of who you are,
Yeah.
the things you intend to achieve
That's it.
with the people. And then the president has said he is, in his second term, he's taking Nigerians to the next level.
Which is, has anyone been able to decipher?
I am not the
or
president. If I
define?
cannot
What the next level
give...
means.
I need like 5 minutes with the president
then-
for real.
But
I
then,
just look at you
but
and
then
ask him,
again,
"Sir,
what are
is
your
the next level?"
expectations this time around?
My expectations is simple. People need the basic amenities of life, and we need men and women. I don't care where you're from. You don't have to come from the southeast where I'm from. You don't have to come from the southwest where I've lived all my life, born, bred, and all of that in the southwest. You can come from wherever, the north, but as long as you're able to deliver. I was coming to your office this morning. There were potholes on the road. That's Magodo Road. There must be a local government that is in charge of that. I was coming to your office this morning. There were potholes on the road. That's Magodo Road. There must be a local government that is in charge of that place. Everyone needs to do what they have to do right. And it's about putting the right people,
And
right pegs in the right holes.
Quickly, your
Yeah,
last
yeah.
words.
I need technocrats who know their onions. To be put there. People who also have, who are patriots, who are concerned about moving Nigeria to the next level. And we must also be devoid of tribal sentiments in doing that.
Absolutely. He just used the word next level. That's it. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the newspaper review this morning.
Guardian is saying Buhari to announce cabinet in July, says the SGF. SGF is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Insists a list already with Senate Majority Leader and National Assembly snag may push appointments to October, and governance slows in states over absence of excos. You have all that on the front page of The Guardian. Let's move now to Daily Trust. Panel recommends signing of African Free Trade Pact. We can't afford to rush. That's the president saying that, President Buhari saying that. And the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, as well as the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, as well as the African Development Bank, they speak on this issue. Nigeria, Benin Republic, Eritrea, holding things, not signing that yet. Okay, Vanguard is our next port of call right now. Driver passengers kidnapped in Ondo. Police meet with Mieti Allah leaders. Abductors demand 5 million naira ransom to free driver. As Alafi Are Adams, a fourth security summit that was held in Ibadan recently. Okay, moving from Vanguard, now let's go to the Daily Sun. Daily Sun, as Buhari promises payment of new wage soon, workers blow hot over 30,000 naira salary. Will fight governors dodging new minimum wage, vows Labour. And workers are saying, go ahead, hold them to account, and let's see how things go, because there are delays in all of this. Recall that the president has signed the 30,000 naira, the Minimum Wage Act since April. Let's move now from the Daily Sun. Let's go to Nigeria News Direct. News Direct is on, is talking about federal allocation. On the Federal Allocation Account Committee, federal government gets 268.23 billion naira, and state and local governments get 240.94 billion naira. You'll find all that on the front page of the News Direct. From there, let's go to The Nation. All right, Nation is our next point of call now. NLC to governors, get set for minimum wage fight. Buhari urges states firms to pay. Falana seeks enforcement of laws. You can find that on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Blueprint is where we go next. Blueprint is saying Amoris in government houses, carry your cross. Governors tell Amosun, that's the former governor of Ibikule Amosun, the former governor of Ogun State. There you can find all that and details of that story on the front page of the Blueprint. The Nigerian Tribune is the next one now and the last one. Restructuring, antidote to secession. Alafin Ofoyo is saying that. And I can roll out 1 million combatants in 3 days. Aaron Okakanfo of Lagos, of Yoruba land rather, Gani Adams is saying that. In Southwest, APC governors paying lip service to security. Adebanjo is saying that. And their absence at Awo's event, sad. Awolowo Dosumu. And only unity among Yoruba will ensure development. Makinde is saying that. And Nigerian youths must sustain, relive Awo's ideals. Akintoye is saying that. And present security challenges not insurmountable. President Buhari is saying that. Okay, let's get into some security-related issues now. I'd like us to talk about the story on the front page of the Vanguard. It draws attention to the challenges of security. You recall that just about earlier in the week, there was a kidnap in Ondo State, Akure-Ikere Road, that generated some level of controversy because of the number of people. The report came out to say that the whole 18-seater bus, the passengers there were kidnapped. And then the commissioner of police came out to say, no, it's just one person that was involved. Even if it's one, exactly, that's the question, that's the issue. No, we have often heard in this country where when some stories go out that 10 persons were killed, authorities will say, no, it was just 2 persons, only 2 persons. A life is involved, and it's as important as 10 million lives, if you have to put it that way. One is as important as far as it's a life. But let's draw attention to the security summit that was held by governors and traditional rulers and state, and stakeholders in Oyo State recently. The governors were saying that it is time to begin to do something, and they drew attention to the issue of state police. Olakanmi, I wonder what you make of this.
Thank you very much. I want to emphasize this, that at least we are seeing, governors shirk, party gaps and all that, and coming together, as a
for the common good.
Yeah, for the common good. So I think that's a move in the right direction. Right. Okay, that's one thing. And their call for state police, which is also one of the core construct within the call for restructuring and all that. I think because that's come to the fore again, the presidency, the Senate and all that, and also House of Reps should really look at doing something very, very, very fast. Okay. You can't hold them accountable as the chief security officer of the state, and not give them also the powers, also to act. And that's what we're seeing here. Give states the power to act, so that they are responsible for whatever happens in their state. Then we'll know whether what they're calling for will help us step down.
All right. If you from at least just recently, very recently, we saw reports from the presidency, from the body language of the president that maybe state police may be the way out. Looking into the possibility. Okay, fine. Let us even visit this issue. But do you think the solution to security, the challenges we have now, lie within the idea of the state police?
But of course, yes. remember, we're a country that knows how to go around in circles
Yes.
for some time. Then finally you find out that that thing you have been avoiding
You come
is
to-
actually,
is
you're
actually
going
the
to come
solution
there.
to
That's the
everything.
solution.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, we understand what it's like in different states where governors become so powerful. These are people who some may not have had a voice before becoming governors. Now you become governor, you're so rich, you're so powerful and all that. There is a tendency that they would want to, you know, take over the apparatus because, of course, it's the state police. But if we look at it, whatever happens in the state, you know that there are people who understands every nook, cranny of the state. They know exactly who is doing what. There are states where you go that everybody seems to know everybody.
Everybody.
So when something
So
goes
when a
wrong,
stranger comes in, they know, okay,
they know
there's a stranger in
when
town.
something goes wrong, they know exactly where to look at. They know who to point fingers at. So I think it's good that they are thinking about it now, and I'm hoping that it works because it will make a lot of sense.
Okay. Now, we've had regional arrangement. We had the OPC at the time, and even I think up until now, the OPC is still very active in some of the states in the southwest. We had the issue of Bakassi boys sometime in the southeast.
That was proliferated at some point.
Exactly. But within the Egbesu boys were also in parts of the south. We had all of these, and if you go to the north central, they had theirs and all of that. We saw some semblances of security, but you know, some level of high-handedness here and there that were reported from.
And people were using it to settle scores.
Yeah, settle scores and
But
all
you know
that.
what that's pointing to? The people know the solution.
Okay.
And because there is no formal structure to enable that solution of state policing, okay, people therefore are coming, up with that solution in themselves. That's why. So we are saying, put a formal structure to allow state policing. Look at
So
what
there's professionalism in
yes,
their approach.
They can be held
rules of
accountable.
engagement.
Yes.
No, okay.
Okay. So absorb these Egbesu boys if you want to use them. Train them. Give them that sense of professionalism so that they will know the right things to do and all that, and they know they are accountable. Okay. Absorb the OPC. Absorb all of them. The Bakassi boys.
There is also the civilian joint task force in the northeast.
Yeah.
that being
And
talked about.
the beautiful thing Lagos is doing, I would also recommend that to other state governments and all that. The neighborhood watch already is a semblance of state policing, because the constitution does not allow, we have neighborhood watch.
But whatever you do, we also need to think about who is going to pay these people so that tomorrow...
We're still struggling with minimum wage right now.
That's it. So that tomorrow we won't begin to hear stories that touch the heart.
We have to...
Well,
all the stories always touch our hearts.
That's where also
Yes.
state governments
All right, we have to
be
leave you
very,
here
very
now.
creative,
Thank you.
about generative
Okay. Thank you very much, Ontegbule, for coming on the
Thank
program.
you for having us.
And Olakanmi, thank you very much for coming as well.
Thank you very much.
Right.